Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Rashid Galadanci, CEO and co-founder at Driver Technologies. Rashid, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Good, good. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So according to LinkedIn, you are New York area. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and oh my God, it was humid as all get out.
Yep.
And then I went to Chicago, which was beautiful. I came back to Atlanta. Then I went to Fort Lauderdale, came back to Atlanta, heading to Boca tomorrow. But here in Atlanta, we have been just burning up. It's like 90s and 100% humidity. I can't leave my apartment after like 9 a.m. How is New York looking? June 24th as we record.
It's the same thing. It's a crazy, I guess the East Coast corridor is getting slammed right now. And I decided to kick off like a health kick this past week and
Are you
was
like
running.
running in
Yeah,
this?
I was running outside and I lost 3 pounds of water weight and felt like very sick. It was not the right combo of events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I skate, I roller skate,
Nice.
and basically, what I'm doing is like get up, go roller skate because
Right.
it's been in the 90s like at sunset.
Yeah, right,
Like it's just
exactly. Right.
awful.
Right. All those
All
key
right.
exercise times, morning and night, is still 90 degrees. And like you said, 100% humidity. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
All right. So we always give the guest a chance to give the elevator pitch. What is driver technology?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was just telling someone I'm very non-creative when it comes to names. So Driver Technologies is exactly what it sounds like. We're a technology company for drivers and driving related activity. We really, our kind of flagship original product was a mobile app whose goal was to bring the kind of AI safety and the connectivity that you might get in a car of the future, like a Tesla kind of thing, right? You can drive around, you can capture what your driving behavior, anything that happens, like an accident. You've got the video, you've got the telematics, you can share that with law enforcement, with your family or your boss, with your insurance company. It also provides kind of the connected services that you'd want to see when it comes to, say, telematics and scoring and coaching, that a car of the theoretical future, right, could provide you, but right now on your mobile device. And it really puts the control of that information and data and scoring and coaching in the hands of the consumer instead of having it feel like something that the OEM or your boss or your insurance company is kind of spying on you, kind of thing. And I think what's been really exciting for us to see is the move that I think is correct and smart of OEMs today and insurance companies in looking at connected car data and saying, "Ooh, maybe the public doesn't love it if they don't understand what's happening with their data and where it's going. And maybe the public would rather get in a vehicle and download an app into their vehicle that they could have on their phone, like Spotify, Google Maps, etc." I'm sure you remember when the first cars came out, it was like, OEM, insert OEM brand navigation, right? Whereas what people probably want to experience is something like Google Maps or TomTom or Here Maps, some brand that they,
TomTom, I hadn't heard that for a decade. Okay.
but some brand that they're familiar with, right? And so that's what we kind of offer is the ability to both manage your own connected car experience, but also share that data using a third party that you control.
Okay.
And so we're
Okay.
doing that I guess the point is we're doing that in cars now as well as
Okay.
on mobile devices.
So back in the day, I did have
Yes.
a Garmin, like a big, heavy Garmin.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Uh,
a good corollary. Yeah.
then I did have a TomTom. Then my iPhone started actually doing that. Okay.
Right.
So back in the day, 2015 or so, I was working on Liberty Mutual, and Liberty offered me the option of the OBD2 plug.
Exactly. Right.
And the device was expensive, so basically they mailed it to me. I installed it in the car. I had some trouble. I got it to work. Had it for 3 months. Got my discount, and then mailed it back. Actually, I was very proud because I got a 9% discount for being a decent driver, largely because I don't speed.
Yep.
Uh, And um, I have that 9% discount to this day.
Right.
Right? It's been a long time. I also might or might not still have my old employee discount, even though I have not been at Liberty for a long time. Hopefully, they don't listen to the podcast. But
Sure
but
they do.
but the experience was fun
Right.
for a
Right.
nerd like me, and I liked the feedback it gave me,
Yeah.
and then I liked the discount. Okay, but I chose to participate in it, and um, I it was clear from the beginning that I would not be punished, right? That the option was like you get a discount or you don't. In
That's
fact, like
awesome.
you got a little bit of a discount for participating, and like you got a better one if you participated like a good driver. Okay, so fast forward 10 years. What would my world look like if I tried your app nowadays?
Yeah. So there's so many elements here. I think that's exactly the market that we entered into, right? And so what we want to do is take all the good things from that experience that you had, and then add better things for the consumer, but also better things for the carrier. And so, taking those in order, our concept is that for the, you're probably in a minority of people who really enjoyed that process, right? Whereas I think for a lot of people, they're either that's going to be too cumbersome or they're not going to kind of geek out on how cool the data is.
Yeah, I'm just a nerd. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Same here. Right. So, and then there are a lot of people for whom having a branded product in their vehicle that's plugged into their car that says Liberty Mutual or Allstate or whatever it is, it feels a little bit too intrusive.
Big brother. Yeah.
And then, they're beyond the savings. I think there is a little bit of this thing where people are a little bit tired of hearing, oh, you can save 15% or 20%.
More than a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, right. And so what we're trying to do is say, okay, well, that's a feature. That's nice. But what could we deliver to the end user that would have them enjoy using this product for years, not just 3 months, not just 90 days, and get value out of it, right? And so what we're trying to say is, all it, bless you, all it takes is one accident, right? A lot of our users are folks who have been in an accident in the past, right? And have said, oh my gosh, if I had had video and telematics
Oh, okay,
show
okay. Yeah.
my
Mine
story.
didn't do the cabin video or right. But mine wasn't a dash cam.
Right, right.
Uh,
There's motion, right?
so yes, if your
So-
app can turn my phone into a dash cam,
Exactly.
that's nice already. Okay,
Right.
continue.
Right. So you have the option. If you mount your phone, you can do video. If you just leave it in your pocket, you can do what we call pocket drives, which are just consumerized telematics. In either case, it can really help your case that you've got this data of, oh, hey, even if I don't have video, I'm exactly where I said I was. I was going the speed limit. I entered this intersection. You can see that I hit the brakes and this person still hit me, kind of thing. Right? So that can be a game changer, both in the moment with like law enforcement and the other person, et cetera, but also, of course, as the claims process proceeds. But then we will layer in all these other features, right? So both coaching, and we've actually done huge studies with tens of thousands of drivers to show that our coaching makes people significantly better drivers over time, which is not the same as something where, oh, I drove really well for a little bit to get a discount, but then went back to my old habits, right?
Mhm.
And then connected services like roadside that actually knows exactly where you are, shows you who the person is that's coming to pick you up and where they are and what time they're going to arrive.
So
Uh,
basically, a modern version of OnStar.
exactly, right. Consumerized, easy access, right? And then on the insurer side, I think what we're trying to kind of shake up is this idea that if you want a telematics program, you can only have it for, say, 90 days, like the experience you had, because they're being charged as an insurer, you're being charged per driver per month.
Mhm.
And so, as your program that you want to invest in and see your drivers be safer and have your portfolio quality be better and settle your claims faster, if you scale that program, it suddenly becomes crazily expensive, right? And so what we're bringing to the market is sort of a basically free approach to this kind of telematics access because our customer is the end user. right?
Okay. Okay.
So
So.
they want to share this data with their insurer, we
Mhm.
enable it. And so you could get ongoing information from an insured if you offer them a discount or offer them
Mhm.
a low deductible, things like that, without having to pay this kind of multi-million-dollar scaling fee for access to that information.
So are you charging the consumer for use of the app?
So it's a freemium model. So there's a
Uh-huh.
totally free version of the app, which is great. That fits our mission of spreading safety and connectivity. But if you want to take advantage of a lot of the programs that say a partner is offering, or some of the premium services like roadside or legal support, then that's part of driver premium. And
Okay.
it, by the way, that is also super cheap, right? So it's like we're price testing a couple of things, but under $10 a month if you subscribe annually, and you get all these services.
Okay. And so including the roadside.
Yep, roadside, amazing legal support. So you actually can press a button and have a lawyer in your car talking to you with video if you get in an accident or you get pulled over. And what's great is that it's not just a random lawyer because of the connected services. It's a lawyer
Mhm.
who already knows exactly where you are. They've been trained on your jurisdiction. There are very specific, legal things between different states if you're in an accident or get pulled over, and they'll advise you through that thing. You don't even have to, you can literally turn the phone and have them talk to a police officer for you. Everyone appreciates that, right? Like the
No kidding.
driver
No.
and the police officer would rather have a professional interaction than you're stressed out interaction.
All
So
right. That does sound like a good deal for the consumer. Yeah. I don't know how much AAA is nowadays. Uh but yeah, that
yeah,
sounds to me like
it's a
kind of
similar it's a similar price, and we just feel like you get a lot more out of our services.
no kidding, no kidding. All right. So that does make sense to me. All right. Uh for the carriers. Okay, so I think the carriers, unless they're a tiny county mutual, or at this point, they've all looked at doing telematics. And some of them have done it very successfully, progressive. All the big ones have tested it, but it doesn't seem like most of them have like a fantastic program thus far.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for the carriers, basically, if I'm understanding correctly, where you're flipping the model compared to Octo, compared to any of the other providers, is that it's mostly free for the carrier.
Exactly. Right. We have like a low platform maintenance type of fee, particularly if you want to do something really unique, present some unique information to the end user, will help you kind of do that. But basically, at scale, you could say it's just free. And I think that's a really important part of our message, that to us, the insurer is not the client. The insurer is a partner to get the word out, promote safer driving, but our customer is the end user, and that's who we answer to, right? And that's who we want to kind of protect and provide privacy and data management controls and all those things too. And I think that's really going to shake things up, or is shaking things up already, both on the consumer side, but also commercial type insurance partners.
Okay. So what type of carriers are the perfect partners for you guys? Where do they have to be on the digital journey, and like
Yeah,
what do they need to be in
I
order
think
to for it to really make sense?
right. I think what's fun for us is that we like to say we play nice in the sandbox. So you could be a carrier who maybe is a small carrier who is just beginning on their digitization journey, or a traditional kind of carrier who hasn't jumped in with both feet. And instead of having to invest in building an SDK into your mobile app and having a whole technology team and whatever, you can literally just partner with us, have your insureds download our app. There's a really nice kind of double adoption process, which is the new kind of standard in privacy, where you're opting into using our app. That's baseline. And then you're also opting into then sharing XYZ data with your insurer. And that might involve your score, or your driving behavior, or your coaching, or not, right? It could be any of these options. Like you said, you got a discount just for participating in that program with Liberty, right? And then if you, on the flip side, you could be an insurer who's already invested tens of millions in a telematics program, and you don't need to shut that down. this can be complementary to that program. It may
Really?
be, yeah, you may be that you have users who love using the, XYZ brand insurance app, but maybe you've reached 12% adoption within your portfolio, right? And the rest of the portfolio is like not that interested in being tracked by their insurance company, quote unquote. And so you can offer this as a really lightweight option to them, and maybe you get an additional 50% that you never would have gotten otherwise. And again, at basically no additional cost to you. And then you could assess over time, does that mean that I just don't even feel like having my own internal product, but we don't need to be disruptive on day one?
Okay. What is the implementation like?
Yeah,
Getting your system to talk to my system, especially if we're not one of the biggest, and maybe we're halfway through the guideware implementation, maybe we're
right. I think
right.
that's the thing. After the price, that's the second thing that shocks people the most, is that we're really, and this is not anyone's fault, right? This is just a timing thing, that we were born of an era of being a completely cloud-based, no integration required. We have a really easy read write API if you want to get technically connected that way, and it's literally like a day of code. But you can also not use our API and just log in on the cloud and see all your portfolio and manage it and ping people and download videos from, claim situations, and it's all just a cloud-based solution. So that's kind of, people don't even believe it, basically. Like, we spend 95% of our integration time in legal, not in technical, right?
All right. And we can integrate in a week. Your legal team is going to take 6.5.
Yes. No, we can integrate in an afternoon. Your legal team's going to take 2
Okay.
weeks.
Perfect. All right. What so normally I ask about pricing, but in this case the pricing is basically the user. What are the clients saying when
Yeah,
it
it's been really interesting. I
yeah.
think on the consumer side, it's great because the end user that's someone who's chosen that they want this product and feature, right? And they're just so excited about it. And the fact that they can get some sort of insurance discount or connectivity is just a bonus. I think what's been most surprising to me, which was not really my initial intent when we started the company, is the adoption on the commercial side. And so fleet drivers feeling like a product that integrates instantly or downloads instantly to their fleet tablets, or to a phone that's been given to them by their boss, or even their own phone, feels much less big brothery to them, even if the data that the insurance company is receiving is very similar. But the sense of, oh, I have control over this, it's an app, I understand what an app is, it gives me these additional benefits and features, I have access myself to the data, is a big one. And so we actually have instances of people driving, for example, for like Amazon, delivery, where they use our product, even though Amazon has force installed a hardware, video and telematics, because they want to understand, okay, if I have an accident, I want to be able to go home and review it myself and understand what happened and be able to speak to it, because in the
I don't
moment,
trust Amazon.
well, it's just, in the moment, that's a panicky moment. You don't necessarily remember exactly
I'm an
everything.
independent contractor, and like
Well, that's the other place where we've found a lot of traction, is that for example, we have a great partnership with Walmart Spark, where a lot of those drivers are bringing their own vans. It's not the traditional concept of like we definitely work with 18-wheeler fleets of 100 vehicles, where the fleet owner owns all the vehicles, but there's this massive and growing space of, I bring my own van, I have my own phone, it's my own phone mount, everything in this thing is owned by me. You're not going to put a hardware thing in there that's owned by the company that is going to track me. And by the way, maybe on the weekend I use that same vehicle to drive my kids around. You're not going to watch me drive my kids around. And so our product gives that complete flexibility of, you can share some data during some hours with one partner, share your location with your family at other times, share your score with your boss. You might have 5 bosses if you drive for Lyft, Uber, Walmart, and somebody else on the weekend. So that flexibility has been key.
Okay. How how did you realize that this was needed and that you guys were the right people to do it?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like now it just seems so obvious in a way, like as I talk through this stuff. But at the time, it was really, to be honest, a reactionary thing where I had become very excited about the safety promise and the connectivity democratization promise of, frankly, Elon Musk. And in like 2016, he was
Back in
like,
better days.
yeah, exactly. In 2016, he was like, everyone's going to have have access to an autonomous car by the end of the year globally, right? Some ridiculous claim like that, right? And therefore, there would be this kind of democratization effect where it was no longer that, oh, I can afford a Mercedes SUV, I have 12 airbags and I'm safe, right? Like it was going to be anyone could just call up a Tesla, it would come pick them up for like $1 and take them somewhere, and they'd be safe and connected and everything, right? And insurance, as we know, it was going to be flipped on its head. Everything would be well documented if there was an incident, all this stuff, right? And I was on the VC side at the time and invested in some companies that were doing data labeling for the autonomous car industry. And I looked at what they were working on, and it was like, is there a bicycle in Palo Alto? Yes or no? And it was not these complex scenarios that you would imagine them having to negotiate. And so that really struck me that this was way farther off than anyone was discussing. And then the farther I dug, the more I got into the complexities of like the average car in America is 12 and a half years old. The average commercial vehicle is even older and getting older every year. People don't have the money to go get access to this type of stuff. The regulatory environment's not there. The insurance environment's not there. But everyone has a mobile device, and increasingly, even in commercial vehicles, you're seeing tablets and phones and things like that. And so I just thought, this is so silly. Let's get something going that leverages this curve of AI that's coming, and leverages the devices that are improving constantly, and makes people feel like they have control over this process.
All right. What else is coming in the future of the system that you can already talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is that last month we launched on the Google built-in platform. And so we are now live, and this really shakes people up because they 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 didn't realize this was coming so fast, basically, across the industry. But basically today in a Volvo, Polestar, Nissan, GM vehicles, Honda, Mercury, Ford, all these different brands, you can download our app directly into your car, drive around with it, and get access to all of our services. And as an insurer, you can receive data from these end users if they choose to share it with you, right? Which I think is an important piece of the story. And the car company wins because they don't get the bad PR that happens when they share data with confusing levels of opt-in from the end user. The insurance company wins because they get this really amazing, rich data in terms of coaching and risk management and claims. It's not just like inferred speed, it's the actual speed of the vehicle, it's the wheel position, it's the did someone actually apply the brakes, were their lights on when they said their lights were on, etc. And as a consumer, it's fun because you get all this capability without even having to think about your phone. The car just works. So that's kind of the immediate exciting thing. And then I think we're just starting to look into offering the end user and partners things like, hey, this road that you're approaching is particularly risky based on our historical data. We're not interested in sharing your personal data, but if we've noticed that 100 people have hard braked going through this intersection, we'll give you the heads up. Or if you're a sharing economy company, maybe we would tell your drivers to avoid that intersection at this time. So we have sort of a mapping based product there.
Okay, so that is basically Loop, but applied to the consumer, not just to the pricing of the insurance product.
Totally. Exactly. Right.
Okay. Okay. Rashid, look into your crystal ball.
Yeah.
Eventually getting self-driving cars, or very defined
I mean,
environment.
look, we already have them, right? That's what's fun, is that it's already a thing. It already exists. It has specific use cases that are useful, right? And I think what we'll see is a continued expansion of like, what is the useful use case? That's what I would love to see, right? Not this theoretical goal of perfect ubiquitous autonomy, but hey, I'm driving a truck 10,000 miles and we have a lack of drivers. Couldn't I have two vehicles behind me traveling with me, and there's still a human there to oversee and manage the situation and manage anything that goes wrong, and navigate tricky scenarios, but the two behind me just follow me, but they're autonomous. That's like a great use case. Or hey, I'm taking basically a taxi down 6th Avenue and it's the same route all day every day. It's basically a train line above ground, right? I think that's great. There's still, I think, a place forever in I want to go joyriding through the mountains on the weekend and I want to drive my own car.
All right. Awesome. Sounds fun. Sounds fun. I'm tempted to download it, but we moved into the Atlanta Beltline and gave up the car. My brother has it in Kansas. Yeah, if I find myself again in a situation where I drive more than once a month, I'm tempted to download it.
Please do. Please do. And I will say a lot of our users are actually exactly the type of folk who only drive once a month because they're going to make some sort of unnormal like journey for themselves, and they want to make sure if anything happens, it's documented. So
actually, I rent a lot of cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I travel,
Yes.
right? So yeah, not an awful idea.
I think you're going to see us announce a number of car rental program partnerships this fall, specifically because of that, right? It's someone else's car, and you wouldn't love to get in that car and see a hardware dash cam that's owned by the rental agency tracking you, right? That's not what you want. But if you get in an accident, you definitely want to be able to tell that story.
Yeah, in case of an accident, I'd like to have all the data.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. Look forward to see you continue to grow this. I would have been wrong, by the way. I like after doing the one that plugged into the car, there were companies starting to play with doing it through your phone, and at the time I was like, I don't think the phone's ever gonna be quite as good as plugging into the car. I was wrong. So
Well, there's stuff that this is part of why we're entering the vehicles, right? Because there's just so much you can get from the vehicle itself that you can't get from a phone. But the average car on the road doesn't have that technology, and the average person doesn't want to go through all the hoops that you went through. You're a brave
it was a pain.
trendsetter in that you were willing to actually get the device and plug it in and then send it back because it's so expensive.
Yeah, no, it was a pain, but I'm a techie.
Yeah.
So for me, it was fun. And I'm also an insurance nerd, so I wanted to see what it looked like.
Yep.
From the insurance perspective, and so for me, it made sense. But yeah, like I can totally see how the majority of drivers wouldn't. And Americans have this weird thing with privacy. They don't like giving data to Big Brother. I long ago made peace with the fact that privacy doesn't exist in my world. But yes, the perception is reality, and having control over who gets my driving data is definitely a big thing. Thank you so much for your time.
I was going to say, for commercial fleets in particular, there are fleets who have made that decision that you had made, right? That they've already gotten hardware and installed it. And one thing insurers can use our platform for is to say, hey, we know there are 16 different hardware devices within our portfolio. We want to offer the driver app to people, but we also use the driver cloud platform to look at data from any provider and kind of normalize it all in one place. And so there's definitely
on the commercial side, this is huge.
Yeah,
huge. And I'm a former fleet manager before my time in insurance. I dispatch drivers, and they hate being tracked.
Exactly.
At the same time, from the company perspective, we're talking billion-dollar settlements that put companies out of business, and electronic logbooks, and the world has really changed. and anything that we can do to protect ourselves in case of an accident or to prevent an accident, we need to do. On the other hand, we have a constant turnover of drivers who don't like to be tracked. So
Exactly.
yes, if there's a middle ground
That's
that
right.
makes
That's
us
what we
both
provide.
happy, that's a win.
Yeah, like one of our biggest features is that you can have, for example, driver distraction and drowsy alerts in the cab, looking at the driver's face
Mhm.
without uploading that video to the boss and the insurance
Yes,
company.
wake me up so that I don't have an accident.
Drivers love this, right? And then
Tell
if
me
they
to
do have an accident,
pull over.
they can choose to share that video if they want, but they don't, it's not just like a constant stream. Some of these drivers sleep in those cabs, right? They don't want someone just looking at them the
Yeah,
time. It's very
yeah,
reasonable. And
yeah.
so today we work with Walmart, like I mentioned, and tomorrow we're announcing a major partnership with a 2,500 vehicle pharmacy delivery nationwide pharmacy that you go to every day. Company.
Congrats.
So that's really exciting, and we're literally saving them just with the first 2,500 drivers. We're saving them over $1 million a year by using software on. They've already bought tablets and phones for all these drivers. Why spend another $50 a month per driver on hardware dash cams when they don't like it? Like you said, they don't even like it.
They really don't like it. Like they really, that is a population that really
Yeah,
doesn't like being tracked.
totally. So you save money and make them happy. It's a win-win.
Yep, yep. Uh, thank you for your time. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for doing this, and I look forward to seeing you at the next conference.
Absolutely.